Your memories define who you are. Your childhood, your first love, your proudest moments, they're all stored in your brain. A perfect record of your life. Except, none of that's true. Human memory isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you're actually rewriting it. And the more you access a memory, the more corrupt it becomes. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 facts about human memory that'll make you question everything. 25. Every time you remember something, you change it. Here's the trippy part about memory. It's not a recording. It's not just some kind of file that you can pull off a shelf and replay. It's more like a story your brain rewrites every single time you open it. When you remember something, your mind doesn't hit play, it reconstructs the events from scattered fragments, with bits of emotion, flashes of images, pieces of dialogue, and the vibe of the moment. And while it's rebuilding, it can quietly mix in new information, like the things you learned later, stories other people told, even your current mood. That means the memories you revisit the most might actually be the least accurate versions of what really happened. They've been edited, polished, reframed. In other words, your most cherished memories aren't frozen in time. They're living, shifting narratives. And every time you remember them, you're actually subtly rewriting it too. 24. You can remember things that never happened. If that previous fact shocked you, well, here's another unsettling thing about the mind. False memories are shockingly easy to create. In controlled experiments, researchers have persuaded people that they were lost in a shopping mall as children, complete with vivid sensory details. In other cases, participants came to believe they had committed minor crimes that they never actually committed, simply because authority figures suggested it and presented fabricated evidence. This happens because the brain builds these memories, and with the right suggestion, repetition, or social pressure, it can feel completely real, even if it never really happened. Which raises an uncomfortable possibility that you might be carrying a memory right now that feels crystal clear, but is entirely false. 23. Your brain stores traumatic memories differently. When something intense happens, especially something frightening, your brain is programmed to switch into survival mode. The amygdala lights up and tells you to remember a moment, but its priority isn't perfect accuracy. It's protection. So instead of recording a clean, detailed timeline, your brain stores the emotional charge, the pounding heart, the fear, the shock. Traumatic memories are often vivid in feeling, but fragmented in detail, and they often feel like flashes of images without a stable narrative. That's one reason eyewitness testimony can be so unreliable. People can be absolutely certain about what they saw, yet confidently misremember faces, sequences, or specifics. The memory feels real because the emotion was real, but feeling and fact aren't the same thing. The real problem is that your brain doesn't always separate them. 22. Flashbulb memories are just as inaccurate as regular memories. Think back to 9/11. You probably remember exactly where you were, who you were with, and what you were feeling. That intense clarity feels undeniable. Psychologists call these flashbulb memories, which are quite vivid, emotionally charged recollections of shocking events. But here's the catch. Research shows that despite how real they feel, these memories are not actually more accurate than everyday ones. The emotion makes them feel crystal clear, but the details can still be wrong, misremembered, or filled in with assumptions. Once again, confidence doesn't equal correctness. 21. You forget 50% of new information within an hour. Your brain isn't a perfect filing cabinet. It's more like a sieve, constantly deciding what's worth keeping and what can be discarded. The Ebbinghaus forgetting curve quantifies just how ruthless it can be. Without review or reinforcement, you'll forget roughly half of what you learn within an hour, and about 70% within a single day. Every moment, your mind is purging information it deems unimportant. This could be names, dates, random facts, just to make room for what it thinks matters more. This means forgetting is actually your brain's way of prioritizing survival over storage, keeping mental space for what could actually help you navigate the world. 20. Your earliest memories are probably fiction. Ever wonder why your earliest memories feel like fragments or stories rather than clear events? That's childhood amnesia at work. Most people can't reliably recall anything from before age 3, and even memories from 3 to 7 are highly unstable. What you think you remember from toddlerhood is often just a reconstruction. Your brain pieces together snippets from photos, family stories, and imagination, blending fact and fiction until it feels like a real memory. In other words, your earliest memories are mental mosaics, shaped by both what actually happened and what your mind fills in along the way. 19. Sleep is when your brain decides what to remember. Sleep is actually a prime time for your brain, and that's why it's very important. During deep sleep, your mind transfers memories from short-term storage to long-term storage, strengthening connections and even editing details along the way. Skip sleep after learning something new, and your brain literally struggles to store that information. Pull an all-nighter, and what you studied might not even make it into long-term memory if you fail to rest properly. In a sense, sleep is all about processing, consolidating, and curating the story of your experiences, quietly turning the chaos of the day into memories that can last a lifetime. 18. Your memory changes based on your current mood. Your mood doesn't just affect your present, it also reshapes your past. When you're feeling sad, your brain pulls up more memories that match that sadness. And when you're happy, you effortlessly recall joyful moments. This is called mood congruent memory, and it means your personal history isn't fixed. Your past literally looks different depending on how you feel right now. A sunny memory might feel distant on a gloomy day, while a painful event can loom larger when your spirits are low. Your memories are living emotional reflections that change with the lens of your current mood. 17. Stress hormones can erase memories. Did you know stress actively sabotages your memory? This is due to cortisol, the same hormone your body releases in response to stress. It interferes with your brain's ability to retrieve information, which is probably why your mind goes blank during exams or why you suddenly can't remember someone's name when you're nervous. Long-term stress is even more damaging, as chronic cortisol exposure can shrink the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for forming and storing memories, leading to lasting impairments in memory function. Stress really is a bigger villain. It can reshape your brain's ability to remember, proving that mental calm should always be upheld, not only for comfort, but also for memory itself. 16. Eyewitness testimony is wrong about 30% of the time. Throughout the years, we've witnessed how DNA evidence has often cleared countless people who were wrongly convicted. In roughly 70% of those cases, the key factor was eyewitness misidentification. People went to prison for decades because someone was confident, sometimes painfully detailed even, in what they claimed to have seen. Yet, despite their certainty, their memories were completely wrong. It's a reminder that memory is fallible, even when everything feels so vivid and reliable. The human brain isn't perfect either, so it can easily betray both witnesses and justice alike. 15. You can be convinced you committed a crime you didn't commit. Several experiments have been conducted on memory, and each time, results only reveal just how fragile it can be. Now, I know I discussed this one earlier, but let me give it a bit more emphasis. Leading questions and fake evidence can actually make you confess to crimes you didn't do. It's a chilling demonstration that memory can be manipulated, reconstructed, and even weaponized, turning conviction into something frighteningly unreliable. 14. Your brain actively suppresses unwanted memories. Ever notice how trying not to think about something can make it pop up even more? Yeah, don't think about an elephant. Yeah. Naturally, that's your brain's doing. The prefrontal cortex actively suppresses activity in the hippocampus, the area that stores memories, in an attempt at what scientists call motivated forgetting. Sometimes it works. You push memory aside and move on. But other times, those suppressed memories resurface unexpectedly, and they often come distorted or warped by emotion in time. This happens because your mind doesn't just forget on command. It's more like a stubborn addict where you can shove things into the back corner, but they can still reappear when you least expect them to, and sometimes with surprising twists. 13. Déjà vu is probably a memory processing glitch. That strange, almost spooky feeling that you've lived a moment before, also called déjà vu, has a scientific explanation. It happens when your brain's memory recognition system activates just a fraction of a second before your perceptual processing is complete. Did you actually live that moment before? No. Your mind's only playing tricks with you by tagging a new experience as familiar before you've even fully seen or understood it. That split-second mismatch creates the uncanny sensation that the present moment is somehow a memory from the past, when in truth it's a glitch in timing. A tiny neuronal hiccup that deceives your brain into thinking it's recalling when it's actually experiencing. 12. You remember endings more than experiences. I probably repeated this phrase a million times in this video already, but let me just say it again. Your memories aren't faithful recordings of events. If anything, they're selective highlights. The peak end rule shows that when we recall an experience, we primarily remember the most intense moment and the final moment alone, while everything else fades into the background. That's why a painful medical procedure can feel surprisingly tolerable if the last few seconds are painless, or why a roller coaster ride sticks in your memory more for the biggest drop than the long climb. In a way, your entire memory of an event is distilled down to just 2 moments, supporting the classic saying, we don't remember days, we only remember moments, especially how they end. 11. Your memories aren't stored in one place. Aside from being completely inaccurate, a single memory in your brain is also spread across multiple regions. The sights, sounds, smells, emotions, and context of an experience are all stored in different areas, only coming together when you actually try to recall the event. This distributed system makes memory flexible, but also fragile. Damage to any one region, may it be from injury, disease, or even stress, can easily distort or erase the memory, like tearing out pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. 10. There's no limit to long-term memory capacity. Unlike a computer's RAM, your brain doesn't have a hard limit on storage, but it's actually way bigger. Scientists estimate its theoretical capacity at around 2.5 petabytes, which is enough to store roughly 3 million hours of TV. However, the real challenge isn't keeping memories, it's finding them when you need them. Forgetting, misremembering, or drawing blanks isn't a sign of full memory, it's a retrieval problem. Your brain is less like a full hard drive and more like a massive, sprawling library where the books are all there, but sometimes the cataloging system is messy. 9. Memory competition is a real sport with insane records. Memory athletes often make the impossible look effortless. Some can memorize the order of a shuffled deck of cards in under 15 seconds, while others have committed over 5,000 binary digits to memory in just 30 minutes. The truth is, they don't have superhuman brains as we thought. They simply use techniques anyone can learn, like the method of loci, visualization, and chunking. Memory is a skill that can be trained, refined, and optimized. And with enough practice, your brain can do far more than you might think. 8. Learning new things can erase old memories. New learning can interfere with old memories. This is a phenomenon called retroactive interference, and it's particularly visible when the information overlaps. For example, memorizing a new phone number can make your old number fade from memory, or learning a new route can scramble the one you've walked for years. Every time you acquire new knowledge, your brain is updating, reorganizing, and sometimes corrupting existing memories. 7. Your autobiographical self may be an illusion. Your sense of self, the feeling that you're the same person you were yesterday, last year, or as a child, may not be as solid as it seems anymore. Philosophers and neuroscientists suggest that this continuity is a cognitive construction, built largely from memory. Without this memory, the you of yesterday has no bridge to the you of today. Every experience, every recollection stitches together the story of who you are, and without those threads, identity becomes fragmented. In essence, your personal continuity is less fixed and more of a narrative your brain keeps rewriting moment by moment, memory by memory. 6. Remembering the future is a real phenomenon. Your brain doesn't just look backward, it looks forward too. The same regions that help you recall the past are also active when you plan for the future. This is a phenomenon known as prospective memory, or mental time travel. In a way, remembering and imagining are two sides of the same coin. Your brain reconstructs past events to simulate future scenarios, letting you anticipate, prepare, and predict. Memory is basically built like a time machine that's been constantly transporting you backward and forward, helping you navigate life using echoes of yesterday and simulations of tomorrow. 5. Total recall may soon be possible through technology. Science is edging closer to a reality straight out of science fiction. Brain-computer interfaces are being developed that could one day record and even play back memories like video files. In lab experiments, researchers have already successfully implanted and retrieved specific memories in mice, showing that memory manipulation isn't just theoretical. While humans are more complex, the technology is advancing rapidly, and memory augmentation or even editing could arrive within a few decades. The implications are staggering, as what we now think of as private, personal recollection could one day become something that can be stored, shared, or altered, transforming the very nature of human experience. 4. Some people remember every day of their lives. Hyperthymesia is a rare condition that gives people an almost superhuman memory. Those who have it can recall nearly every day of their lives in vivid detail. They might tell you exactly what they ate on a random Tuesday in 1987, or the weather on a long-forgotten date. It sounds incredible, even enviable, but it comes with a hidden cost. They can't easily forget painful or traumatic experiences, and the relentless flood of memories often leads to anxiety, depression, and emotional fatigue. This only shows that perfect memory isn't always a blessing. Sometimes the ability to forget is just as important as the ability to remember. 3. Your body movements can change what you remember. Memory isn't just stored in the brain. Your body plays a role too. Research shows that physical actions performed during learning, like gesturing, walking through a space, or even simply moving your hands, can strengthen memory and alter how it's stored. This is called the enactment effect. In one experiment, people who mimed actions while learning phrases remembered them significantly better than the ones who only read the phrases silently, even days later. This is because the act of physically doing something during encoding changes how the brain represents the memory, linking it to motor systems as well as sensory and cognitive networks. Your muscles don't just help you do things, they help you remember them. Memory isn't only mental, it's embodied. 2. Your memory can be hijacked by technology. Scrolling through social media or looking at photos doesn't just remind you of the past, it can also reshape how you remember it. When we rely on external memory sources like social platforms, we tend to encode experiences less deeply, remembering where the information is stored rather than the memory itself. That's similar to the Google effect, where the brain outsources memory storage to digital devices instead of internalizing details. Studies also show that using media during an experience, whether it's taking photos, recording videos, or sharing on social platforms, can impair memory for the experience itself, because attention is split between living the moment and documenting it. And it's not just forgetting details. Exposure to manipulated images or misleading content online can also contribute to false or distorted memories, showing that the digital age actively alters how we remember our lives. 1. You're forgetting your life as you live it. Before I go, I'm going to hit you with a harsh reality. Memory isn't permanent. It's fleeting and fragile, which means Even vivid events we think we'll never forget will eventually begin to fade in sensory quality and detail over time, with colors dimming and clarity slipping, much like an old photograph losing its vibrancy. This happens because your brain doesn't store every experience in full detail forever. Rather, it prioritizes certain information and lets the rest decay, unless it's reinforced or emotionally significant. Routine moments, familiar sights, and everyday experiences can vanish quietly simply because they weren't encoded strongly in the first place. The life you live now? This isn't preserved in a vault. It's constantly slipping away as new moments are made, and each day you're literally losing pieces of your own history without even noticing. If you're now questioning whether any of your memories are real, well, welcome to the club. That childhood birthday you remember so clearly might be fiction. That embarrassing moment you'll never forget might have never happened. Hit subscribe and that notification bell if you want more content that makes you distrust your own brain. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Or will I? We'll forget all this.